Is the social calculus, the social astronomy of the new Fed going to be radically different from what you and I grew up with?
Yeah, I suspect not, except for QE, which is going to be continuing to be a key issue. The balance sheet is not going to go back to where it was previously. But I think what drives the Federal Reserve is not going to change, and that is we still don't have this rule book, like a Taylor rule.
Right.
People are reluctant to just have a blind rule just to follow.
Well, and that was something yesterday with the vice chairman, and always, folks, with anyone like Stan Fisher, you're reading between the very smart lines. He really delicately traipsed around rules-based. Can we possibly become rules-based if the political independence of the central bank is threatened?
I'm not so sure the political independence of the Federal Reserve is challenged. I think that this is what, in the beginning, when Trump was as a candidate, there was some comments about the Federal Reserve, and people thought he would encroach about the Fed's independence. But he's influencing the Fed the old-fashioned way, and that's through the power of appointment. But I think that people are mistaken that the Federal Reserve is really more of a technocrat function. For example, one of the leading candidates now is Governor Powell, and yet Governor Powell is the only Republican that's been on the board for some time, and you can't really tell from what he says, his defense of regulation, his voting, that he's a Republican, that there's somehow a difference between, say, him and, say, the Chair Yellen.
Okay, this is actually crucial, Mark. Do you believe that if President Trump, I guess, puts policy over loyalty when it comes to picking the next Fed chair, that the policy he would look at most is regulation instead of monetary policy?
I don't really buy that. I mean, here's why. The Federal Reserve has supervisory and regulatory functions. It seems to me, then, that it makes sense that your top regulator, one of the top regulators, defends regulation as a regime. Powell also defended it as a Republican on the Board of Governors. And so I don't think that the regulation is the key issue here. I think, obviously, he wants people who are sympathetic to the broad point of view, of broad stimulating the economy. And I can't imagine a more dovish Federal Reserve chair than Janet Yellen's been. And so I think that almost anybody is going to, by definition, be more hawkish.